and let's start Docker creation and why we need to go for the Docker. What is the necessity of going with the Docker? And we have installed the Docker on our Windows machine. So how we can install Docker on our Windows machine? These are the concepts that we have seen in the last session. So I know that there are so many people who are attending now today from today itself. So for them, I just want to rewind the session, what happened in the last session, and then we will go ahead with the configuration related things. Okay. So I hope. So is there anybody who is from the last session? Is there anyone who is from the last session? Anyone, if you want to give me your response, please provide your response through the chat box, if at all, if you are unable to speak. Yeah, Anil, I hope that you are from the last session, right?
Yes, Chaitanya.
Good. Okay, Anil. So let us get back to the concept here. And there are a lot of people who are attending right away. So now they are attending. So what I will do here is I will recap whatever was happened in the last session. And this is the second demo which you are hearing, and tomorrow will be the third demo. With tomorrow's session, we will close the demos. Okay. So when we get back to the concept over here, whatever we are discussing. So I just want to recap the last session only. So and whoever are attending from today, whoever are attending today itself, please try to understand as this is the first class only. Okay. So now, before we proceed ahead, let me explain you what we are about to discuss here. As you are very new to the session, we will be discussing the first concept of Docker. So what is Docker and why we need to go for Docker and how we can utilize the Docker. So here, especially in these sessions, whatever the 10 days of sessions will be there. Apart from that, you don't have much more sessions. Okay, it's a very small course which we are going to complete within 10 days. And by learning Docker, you will get a basic understanding about the containerization. Okay, containerization. With that, you will understand, and by learning Docker and Docker Swarm itself, you will know about what is meant by orchestration, which is a basic step for the Kubernetes. In the future, if you want to learn about Kubernetes, then this is the basic concept which you need to understand, that is Docker. So based on the Docker only, you can understand the entire Kubernetes concept. Okay, so when we are coming back to the next one, here you will learn about the containerization. Especially Docker is just a platform which will hold the containers. So actually it's just a software. Okay, so when I say you about a Word, or else if I am discussing about Word, Excel, or else PowerPoint, you are going to learn about whatever the menu options that are available in that particular application. Okay, after that you are not going to learn about the entire thing. Here also Docker means it is just an application which will hold the containers. So whatever we are discussing here, in Docker, we will be discussing about the containers, not the Docker application. So Docker application, in the sense, what is a Docker application, how it holds the containers, that you will understand what is meant by a container, how applications can be created inside a container, and how we can run the containers. These are all the things that you are going to learn. So if I have to explain you about the syllabus, what is the syllabus that we are going to cover in the entire Docker here, we will be learning about Docker, Docker containers, and Docker networking, which will be a very interesting topic. Docker networking and Docker images. So in this images, you will be learning about a Docker file, which is very, very, very important. If you don't understand this Docker file, so it's a basic step. Without Docker file, you cannot create image, and image is the basic component to create the container. So you need to understand the Docker file. So we will discuss about the Docker images, and later on we will be going with the Docker volumes. So in volumes you will learn about Docker volumes and bind mounts. These are the concepts that you will be understanding, and later we will be going with the Docker Swarm. Okay, in Docker Swarm you can understand about Docker secrets also. Docker secrets. In Docker Swarm you will have the Docker or also ingress controller. You will learn about the ingress controller. Okay, so whenever we are discussing about all these concepts here, I will include a small project. I am not saying you about that we are going to learn about the projects. Project won't be there, but I will introduce you to a small application which will be helpful for you to cover all the topics. So here you will have Dockerized application. Not very big, it's my own small application. It's easy for you to understand also. Okay, and here after this I will tell you about the Docker Compose also. Okay, what is meant by Docker Compose and how we are going to work with the Docker Compose. So this is the syllabus which we are going to cover in the entire 10 days of session. So among these things which will take high amount or else large time is your Docker images. Okay, apart from this, nothing will carry out with a huge time. So everything will be a single class itself. We will cover the entire concepts. So 10 days, within 10 days of sessions, these are the concepts that we are going to cover. Okay. Now, when we get back to the next concept over here, now before we go into this Dockers and container, what is meant by Docker and what is meant by container, before we learn about all these things, first of all, you need to understand one thing. So we are now into the containerization, which is a virtualization based thing. Okay, it's a virtual, it is correlated to your virtualization. Now here, what is meant by virtualization? I will discuss about that. But before we go into the concept over here, what is there before virtualization? How we are used or how we are accessing this virtualization concept? Now, to understand this, before when we go into the concept of virtualization and all things, what is there? You, so which type of accessibility is there? So why we are going for the usage of containers? So how this application is accessible? So why we are going for the containers? Inside the containers, what will be there? Applications will be there. Whatever the applications that we are creating. For example, I am having a web application. So how this web application will be running inside the container, that you will be learning. So what containers will carry? Containers will carry the applications. Try to understand this. Containers will carry the applications and the application dependencies, app dependencies. Okay, so now containers are carrying, but before containers, what used to be there, and before that, what used to be there? At starting of your IT industry, at the starting of your IT industry, what we are having to deploy the application. For example, I have created an application. I just created a application. This is my Java application. Try to understand. This is the entire Java repository or Java code which I am having. It's a Java application. Okay. Now this Java application, whatever I have created over here, this Java application, now it should be accessible by the entire users. So the entire set of users, entire bunch of users. So how it can be accessed? This application will be deployed in one of the server. There will be a server, and into this server, this application will be deployed, and the access will be provided for the outside user. The access will be provided for the outside user. So there will be a client over here. This client, the client can access the application. When the client is accessing over the internet, he can access the application. Now here you can clearly see this application is created, or else is created with the help of a Java code, and it is deployed into the server. Okay, into a physical server. It's a physical server. When it is deployed into the physical server, Now, how many members can access from the outside? Whoever are connected to the internet, they can all access the application. That's well and good. Now, what is the problem? Why we are migrating to the another concept called as virtualization? Why we are utilizing the virtualization? For example, this application, whatever the app that I have created, this app is created on some higher version of Java, somewhere like Java 17. Okay, right now everyone are using the Java 17 only. So, for example, this application is created on Java 17 version. Now, when this application is created on Java 17 version, there is an another application. So the development team has created an another application, and that application will be working on Java 8. Just try to understand, this particular application is working on Java 8 or else Java 11. This is also one of the version which you are having, Java JDK 11, whichever the application is working. Now, when they have given this application to the operations team, in the IT industry, there are two teams. One is the development team who develops the application, dev team who develops the application with the code writing and all the things. So in the development team, you will have the UI team, like user interface, the front end team, and there will be a back end team. Those are nothing but your developers. Okay, so and there will be a service team. Okay, so these developers will develop the application. Okay, by using certain coding languages, either it might be Python, either it might be Java, or else it might be Go language, Ruby language. There are so many wide variety of languages that are helpful for you to develop the application. Now, once the application development is done, then this app will be given to, or else then this app will be packaged and it will be forwarded to the operations team. Okay, so this operations team will deploy the app, or else will install the app in the will deploy the app in the server. Okay, in the server. This is what the main functionality of your operations team. Now, whatever the application that is provided by the development team, that application will be deployed by your ops team. Okay, so operations team will have the full knowledge on the server side. So what is the server, which type of server we are using? Either we are using the Ubuntu server, Windows server, which version of server it is, and how much resources are there. These are all the things that will be understandable by the ops team, and which means that they know about the entire thing about the servers. And development team, they know about the entire code related thing. So operations team will have a minimum basic knowledge on the application side, like Java side or else Python side. They will have a minimum knowledge. Now, when the development team has given the application to the operations team, so they will try to install this particular application on the server. Now, whenever they are trying to install this application on the server, obviously they are going to get an error. So what is the error? Why they are getting? Why? Because there is already Java 17 running on the server, which is the higher version of the application running on the server. Now the development team has provided the lower version of the application. Now it is not possible to go back to the lower version. Okay, why? Because here already we are having an application which is running, so it is not recommended to go back to the lower version of your application. So what they have to do, again the operations team has to create one more server. Here they are going to create one more server, and this application should be created onto that server, or else this application should be moved onto that server, which is a hectic task for them. Okay, this Java 11 application will be moved on to that server. When they are moving on to that server, now here you can clearly see this. We are having two different resources. So for this small application, they are utilizing one server, and for this application, they are utilizing another server, which will be a expensive, or else which will be cost effective for the no, which will be very costly for the company. So the company cannot bear two different server for two small applications. And one more thing here is the application will not utilize the entire resources. For example, this server is running with an what I can say resources of some 8 CPU, some 8 CPU and 64 GB of RAM, then this server is not capable of this server. Every time the application won't utilize the entire resources. And for example, this server is there, and this server is having some it is also having 8 CPU and some 64 GB of RAM is there. This server is also, so then the application will not utilize the entire resources at each and every point of time. At each and every given point of time, the application won't access that. So when the application is not accessing the each and every resources at a given point of time, then there is a wastage of your resources. So which cannot be happen. So to overcome all these scenarios, whatever the problems that we are facing in the physical server, whatever the problems that we are facing, like dependency issue and then resource utilization issue, to overcome all these issues, we are going with a concept called as virtualization. So we are not going with the physical servers, we are going with the virtualization. Okay, so this is the concept which has turned the entire IT industry into a very, very, what I can say, optimized manner of accessing the servers. So this virtualization is a very key concept which has turned the entire IT industry. So virtualization is the base for your cloud environment also. Whatever the cloud servers that you are using in the AWS or else Azure or GCP or Oracle or VM cloud. So all these clouds are utilizing the virtualization. Either it might be VMware or else it might be. So these are the nothing but your applications. So for this virtualization, you will be having VMware or Citrix. Citrix servers. So these are the two platforms which are very, very commonly used in the virtualization platform. So the entire cloud is relied on the virtualization only. Whatever the servers, whatever the EC2 instances, whatever the virtual machines that you are creating in the Azure, whatever the EC2 instances that you are creating in AWS, the entire cloud is depending on the virtualization itself. Okay. So do you understand what is what? Any questions here? Up to now, whatever we have covered. Any questions? Can I go ahead? Guys. Okay, cool. So if I have to show you a basic content of virtualization, so what I said you, what is meant by virtualization? Virtualization is a process of dividing your physical server into logical machines. Now I have, so due to this course and all the things, I need to run a Linux machine. So this is my Windows server, Windows machine, which I am having, and I have some 32 GB of RAM which is installed on my system. If you can see here, so some 32 GB has been installed on my system. Okay, but due to this classes and all the things, what is my requirement now is I want to run a Linux machine. So if I want to run a Linux machine, how I can run that? Inside this Windows machine, I cannot run the Linux machine, but there is a possibility. I can create a virtual machine with the help of the VMware, or else there are multiple things like virtual box, virtual VMware. So like that. Here you can see there is a Ubuntu server. Okay, so this is my Ubuntu server which I installed on my Windows machine with the help of the VMware platform. So this is my VMware workstation which I am using. It's a platform on which I am creating this Ubuntu server. So when I turn on this virtual machine, here you can see here, automatically I can be able to log in into my Ubuntu server. Here you can clearly see this. What is my base operating system here? Here you need to understand my base operating system is Windows, but I want to run a particular application on, I want to test an application on the Linux machine. To test that only, to test that single application, I cannot purchase another laptop or else another desktop or else another server, and I cannot work on that. So to overcome this problem, what I have done, I simply installed an virtualization platform nothing but VMware workstation, and into that I just install the Ubuntu server. Okay, so when I install that, automatically I'm able to access the Ubuntu server over here. Here you can clearly see this, and whatever the applications that I want to run, I can run from this server itself. So this is the main concept of your virtualization. If I have to show you in the pictorial manner, let that turn on. So if I have to show you on the pictorial manner, how I can show you, this is my physical machine, nothing but my Windows machine. Right now, whichever I am using here, this is my Windows machine, whatever I am showing you right away. So inside this Windows machine, what I have done, I just created or installed a software called as VMware. Okay. So this is client side, guys. Try to understand. I will explain you about the types of virtualization now. But inside my physical machine, I just installed the VMware, and into that, what I have done here, I just created a virtual machine. So this is the virtual Ubuntu virtual machine which is running inside the VMware. So if I have to show you this, let me explain you in a clear-cut manner. What is this? This is my physical machine. Simply I will make it as machine. You can take it as a server, or else you can take it as a client machine also. And this is my VMware workstation, or else virtualization. Okay, virtualization app. Okay, simply it's a VMware, and this is the guest operating system, guest OS. Guest OS, nothing but your Ubuntu operating system, which I just showed you. So inside that, what you can do, you can create an application. You are going to create an application. This is the app which I can create inside the Ubuntu machine. Okay, and this app will have its own binaries and libraries. Okay, so this application will have its own binaries and the libraries, so that the user, whoever are trying to access this application, will all over come into this. So now the point is how this Ubuntu virtual machine. So I said to you that this is the guest operating system and guest machine. How this machine will get the CPU and RAM. So this machine will communicate with the virtualization application, nothing but our VMware. So this VMware will communicate to our physical machine. So my physical machine is having somewhere like 8 CPU and 32 GB of RAM. Okay, so it will communicate with my physical machine, and from the physical machine it will collect the whatever the resources that are there. If you can see here, previously my RAM is consuming some 6 GB, but now if you see here, it has gone to 8.7 GB. How it has gone? Because of this server, whatever the server that I am running. Because of this server is utilizing my physical resources. So due to that, the RAM consumption has been increased, and as well as the CPU consumption is also increased. So this is one of the things which you need to understand over here, which means that this virtual machine will consume the resources from the physical machine, and it will run the application inside that virtual machine. Okay, so this is your virtualization. You can create one more virtual machine over here. If you want to create, you can create a Windows server, and inside that, what you can do, you can run another application also. So here we have multiple platforms. It is not, see, in by the help of virtualization, we can run the multiple platforms. Either you can go with the Linux, or else you can go with the Windows servers. So this is the main utilization of the virtualization, whichever we are using. Right now I am having the Ubuntu. I can run the applications. Try to understand over here. Simply what I can do, I can simply go for apt update. Look at here. Hmm, okay, hold on. Cool. Now if I go here, I can run certain commands. Apt update -y. Okay, So I can run the updates and I can run the applications inside my Ubuntu server. So basically where we are right now, basically if you see, I am in the Windows mission, but what I am able to do, I am able to access the Ubuntu server and I am able to access the application inside the Ubuntu server, which is achieved by the help of virtualization. So whatever the AWS servers, whatever the Azure servers that you are seeing, Azure instances or else AWS instances that you are seeing, all are the virtual missions only. Now that's okay. So we have the virtualization, we are having the application, that is well and good. Now why we are going for the Docker and container or else containers? Why we are going for the containers? So here containers will also use it for the same purpose only. So in my Windows machine, I am having an application which is installed called as Docker Desktop. So now what I can do here is I will just run this Docker Desktop. In the yesterday's class, I showed you how to install the Docker Desktop, and that video is available in the YouTube. And if you ask the DurgaSoft also, you can get the video. Okay, don't worry about that. Hold on. So I am trying to run this Docker Desktop application. Now, whenever I am running this Docker Desktop, what I can do here, I have created a, I just created a Ubuntu server. Okay. But if I want to move this Ubuntu server from one virtual machine or else from one physical machine, this is my laptop or desktop, whichever you are seeing over here. This is my desktop. Try to understand. Now I want to move this. I want to move this virtualization application or else this operating system from this machine to the another machine. Then it is going to take a lot of time to move. Okay, it is going to take a lot of time to move from one machine to the another machine. Why? Because of the entire OS should be packed out. The entire OS should be packed out, and as well as update the WSL kernel by running WSL hyphen hyphen update. Okay, hold on. Mm, okay, let me do one thing. WSL hyphen hyphen update. Let it come. So now, if I want to move this, for example, this is my developer laptop or else this is my developer application. Try to understand. This is my developer laptop where they are running this Ubuntu server, and inside this Ubuntu server, they have developed certain application. Now they want to move, so the developers want to move the entire application from their laptop to the another laptop or else another desktop. How they can move that? So they have to pack the entire, they have to zip the entire Ubuntu server, whatever the Ubuntu server that you are seeing, they have to zip it and then they have to move. Okay, so they can take a snapshot and from the snapshot they have to move it, but the snapshot will come around some 10 GB or 15 GB. So that huge amount of snapshot will be coming, and if you want to move that, that will be a very hectic task for you. So to overcome this problem, what we are going to do here is simply, so the application should be moved from this Ubuntu machine to the another Ubuntu or else another Windows server. It is a very hectic task with the virtualization. So to overcome this, what I am going to do here is I am going to run the Docker, and inside the Docker, I am going to create a container. So here, what is meant by container and how we can run the container? So a container is an environment. A container is an environment which can run the applications with its dependencies. Applications with dependencies. Simply in a single word, if I have to say, which can run the application with the dependencies. Here you can clearly see this, the Docker engine is about to start. Let it start. Now the point what you need to understand here is what is meant by a container. So what is a container? is the main difference between your virtualization? Now, if you can see here, we have created a virtual machine. Now, what is the main difference between virtualization and containerization? If you want to understand, let me go back here. VM versus containers. Virtual machine versus containers. If you see this images, you can clearly understand here. Hold on. Look at this. So this is the virtual machine architecture. So we have a hardware. On that hardware, I just installed a hypervisor, nothing but your VMware workstation. Onto that, I just installed the guest operating system, which is Ubuntu. Onto that, I am running certain binaries and libraries to install this application. So this is the process. Now, what is this Dockerization? So you will have an infrastructure, nothing but your hardware. On the hardware, you can install the operating system. On the hardware, you can install either Windows or Linux, you can install the operating system. Onto that, you can install a containerization engine. Container engine is nothing but your Docker application. Now here, a Docker application is a container application, container engine. A Docker is a container engine. So what is this container engine will do? It will hold all the containers. Okay, all the containers. Hold all the containers. So only Docker is there. Not only Docker, you are having ContainerD, you are having RKT, Rocket, and you are having like there are so many CRIO. This is also one of the containerization engine that depends upon your company requirement. You can select any one of the container engines. So all these multiple container engines will do only one thing, that will hold the containers. So all the multiple things will do only one thing, that is holding the container. In the same manner, here you will have a containerization engine. Either you can have the Docker, ContainerD, or else CRIO, or else RKT. Onto that container engine, you can create a container and you can run the application. So now here I am having a Docker. So this is my Docker engine. So for example, give me a second, guys. Sorry, guys. So this is my Docker engine. If this container engine is not there, for example, I am closing this. Okay, I just close this, and here I will exit from the container tray also. Okay, so now here you need to understand, when I try to execute some commands, see here, Docker PS. Why we are running Docker PS command, that I will tell you in the next session. But here you are getting an error. So the Docker daemon is not running. If you are learning about the Docker architecture in this syllabus, so Docker, under Docker you will be learning about the Docker architecture and Docker container lifecycle. These are also included. Okay. So whenever you are learning about the Docker architecture, there you will learn what is a Docker daemon. But as of now, see here, the Docker daemon is not running, which means that this application is not running. So when I turn on this application, when I turn on this application, then only you can run the containers. See here. So now you are inside the Docker. So the Docker daemon is running. Now if you execute this command, if you execute this command docker ps, you are getting some output. Previously you are getting an error, but now you are getting some output. If you run some command like docker images, you are going to get some output. Why? Because there is an application which is running in the backend. Now you can run the containers and you can work with the application that I will tell you in the next session. But as of now, this Docker desktop is very important for you, or else Docker application which we are running on our Windows is very important for running the containers, that you need to understand for running your entire Docker commands. Okay, and the next one here is now, if I try to create a container, let me show you. I am going to create a container. Docker run -it. Don't get confused about these commands. I will explain you each and every command in detail in the next upcoming sessions. Don't worry about that. Docker run -it name of the container is test container, and Ubuntu 2204. What is this Ubuntu? You will learn about that, but don't worry about that. So simply what you can do, look at here. So we can run the container ubu mtu. Okay, cool. So it is creating the container. So when you see here, a container is created and it is running. So if I have to give you an explicit, if I have to give you it very clearly, see here what I have done: docker -itd container 2, a container is running. So I will go inside that container. How? Docker execute -it. I think you might be not able to see this font. Let me increase the font size. Okay, so that is okay. There is a font, I think I forgot about this. Hold on. Defaults. Okay, I will show you in the next session, but don't worry about that. Anyways, coming back to this, I will be entering into that test container 2. Test container 2 bash. If I execute this command, I will be inside the container. See here, previously the prompt is user admin. Right now the prompt has been changed to root at the rate and container name, which means that it has been, or else the user is moved into the test container 2. Here you can do everything, apt update -y, so which will be updating your container, and as well as what else you can do here is you can install the applications whatever you want. Hold on. So once the applications are installed inside this container, then what I can do here is I can convert this container, in which container I am right now. I can convert this container as an image. So what I will do here is apt install -y, or else I will install some Java -version. If I give this, it is not going to show about Java. Apt install -y open jdk -17 jdk. I will give like this. Okay, it will be installing the Java application on my container itself. Look at that. Anybody is having this Docker application? Vishnu, do you have, sorry, Anil, do you have this Docker application running in your system? Did you install that?
No, Chaitanya, not yet.
Okay, fine. So why I asked you, okay, fine. If at all, if you don't have also, no problem. I will tell you one thing. I just want to show you practically, but how I can show you here is I will log in into my AWS account. Let me log in into my AWS account. Okay, so there I am having a server. There I am having an instance. Okay, hold on. This is my Docker instance, whichever I am running in my AWS. Okay, why I am taking this, I will tell you. But as of now, let me log in into this instance. Okay. Good. So right now I was in, I was, so here I can run the Docker application also. Look at here, already Docker is there, Docker PS, Docker is running in my Ubuntu machine. Now here you can clearly see this. Java is getting installed on my container. Once Java is installed on my container, then what else I can do here is I can simply what I can do here is I can simply pack this container as an image and I can move into my Docker hub. So what is this moving and all the things, you will learn about that in the Docker architecture. Don't worry about that. The point which I want to say you here is it is very comfortable for us to move the images or else to move the application from one server to from one machine to the another machine. If you go with the virtualization, then it will be a very difficult task. I have to take a snapshot which will come across some 10 to 15 GB of a snapshot will be there, and to move that snapshot it will be very difficult for us from one server to the another server. But if I have this containerization image, that image can be easily moved from one machine to the another machine. How it is moved, I will show you. So up to now, any questions, guys? Whatever we have discussed, is it clear for you? Any questions? Guys, any questions? Hmm. Kubernetes is a separate topic, buddy. We are not going to cover Kubernetes. Okay, this is only at the Docker application which we are going to cover. So if you want to cover Kubernetes, it will take somewhere around and another 15 to 20 classes. Okay, which is a very high-end topic. But as of now, we are not covering Kubernetes. Okay, so in the information tag also they have given only Docker. They did not provide the Kubernetes. Okay, but I will tell you any one application how to run the cluster. Okay, as we are into the Docker form, I'll just give you basic information. So if you can see here in this container, we just installed the Java application, Java hyphen version. If you can see, we have the 17.80. So that's okay. So this is where we have run this Java hyphen version. We are in the container. Inside the container, we are running. So I will come out of the container. Now, if you see here, Docker images, right now I don't have any image. Like Ubuntu 22.04 is the only image whichever I am having. I will Docker commit test container. So what is the container that is running? Test container 2. Docker commit test container 2 to somewhere like I will make it as a Java colon 17. Simply I will give like this, Java 17. So that now what happened, this container is now converting into an image. Okay, look at here. After some time, this container, whatever the container will be running, but we will get an image. So see here, but this is a very high-end topic. Why I am saying this? Because you need to understand what is the main difference, why we are going from virtualization to the containerization. If you can see here, Docker images, previously we have 744 MB of size. So we have an image with the 744 MB of size. Now what I can do here is I can move this image from my computer to the Docker hub. What is this Docker hub? You will learn in the next session. Whenever we are going into the Docker architecture, there you will learn. But I am moving this image from my computer to the centralized repository, that you need to understand. So how I am moving? Docker login Chaitanya Manikumar is my username, and I am going to provide the password to get login into my Docker hub. I will tell you what is a Docker hub and how we are going to move these images. So now what I will do here is Docker tag -t Java 17 to Chaitanya Manikumar slash we'll discuss about that Java 17. I will rename that. Okay, so the image I am going to rename it. Previously we are having two images only, guys. Now what is happening here? Simply I will remove this T. Okay, so Docker images. Now we are having the third image. Now what I can do here is Docker push Chaitanya Manikumar slash Java version 17. So I am pushing into my what I can say, I am pushing into my Docker hub. Okay, so once this image is pushed into the Docker hub, from there it is very easy for us to pull the image into our server. So this is my AWS server, whichever I am running. So what I can do here is, let me show you. Hold on. Okay, right now again I'm into my Docker server. This is my Linux server, guys, whichever I have installed in the what I can say, in the AWS. So if you can see here, Docker PS, we don't have anything, and I will go with the Docker images also. So if I go with the Docker images also, so there are no images. Hold on. Here you can see there are no images. Now what I can do, let me check whether it is pushed or not. Now the image is pushed into my Docker hub, and now what I will do here is I will pull that image. Docker pull Chaitanya Manikumar slash Java 17. Okay, so if you can see, it has been completely pulled into my Docker hub. I'm just pulling that image. Okay, look at here. I am pulling the image. So once I have pulled that image, now what is going to happen here? That image will be available in my server within no time. What I have done, I have created a container and converted that into the image format, installed the application, converted that into the image format, and pushed into my Docker hub. And from the Docker hub, I have pulled this image, and this with this image, what I can do here, Docker run -itd hyphen name test Java is the container name with the what I can say, with the image Java version 17. So if I give like this, a new container is created. If you can see here, Docker PS, a container is running, which is test Java. If you go inside that container, Docker execute -it test Java, and if you give the command bash, you will be inside the container. And if you can run Java -version, clearly you can see that Java version 17 is installed. Who installed that? So in my Windows laptop, I just installed that Java version in one of the container and I converted that container into the image and I forwarded that, I pushed that image into the Docker Hub. And in the other hand, what I have done in AWS, I just created another Docker server, and from that Docker server, I pulled the image and created another container. So inside that container also, you are running the application. Within fraction of minutes, what is happened here, the application has been changed from one system to the another system, which is a very easy task for you. This is the main utilization of the containers. So why we are going with the containers? Because of low weighted application. So previously, whenever we go for this, what I can say, this virtualization, whatever the applications that are there inside the virtualization, virtual missions, they are heavy weighted. But when you come to the Ubuntu or else, but when you come to the containers are lightweighted in size. So the size will be very small so that we can move the images from one system to the another system very easily. And each and everything will be the same. The functionality will be the same and the working process will be the same. Everything will be the same when you compare with the virtual machines or else when you compare with the physical servers also. But the point is the size is reduced and we can easily move from one mission to the another mission. So you don't have any problem. And each and every container, now I have created a container, test container two or else test Java container I have created. And with the Python application, I can create test Python container. So one container will not have any connectivity with the another container. They are isolated ones. Just like you are using two different servers for running two applications. In the same manner, you can run two different containers to run two different applications, which won't have any connectivity to each other. So this is the reason you are going with the containerization. Okay, I hope you understand why we are going with the containerization. Any questions, guys, here?
Chaitanya, one question.
Yes, go on.
So you have created image on Windows machine and
Mhm.
published and pushed it, and again you pull the same image on Linux machine.
Exactly.
So like in between there is this Docker hub. So how
Mhm.
does it know that it should connect to that particular Docker hub to push or pull?
So here I have given the username. You can see this. I just renamed the image with the username as Chaitanya Manikmar. So this username is a unique username which will be there in the Docker Hub.
Okay.
See, with this username we are pulling. So what happens? The Docker Hub will search in this username. Is there any image with Java 17? If there is an image with the Java 17, it is going to pull out that. Okay.
Hmm. So when we install Docker on our machine, it will also install Docker hub internally.
No, Docker Hub is a global repository or else global registry. It will be in the internet. So it is not going to be in
Oh,
our
okay.
local.
Okay. So we have to create a user ID in the Docker hub.
Exactly. Like how
Okay.
you are creating a user ID in the GitHub, in the same manner you are going to create an ID in the Docker Hub. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. You will understand about this when I say about the Docker architecture. So don't worry about that. Okay, but basically, what is my anxiety here or else enthusiasm here is I just want to show you how container images or else how an application can easily be transferred from one machine to the another machine. See,
Hmm.
this server is created in America location, US East one in the sense in the North Virginia location. This server is there. And where is my Windows system? My Windows system is somewhere around in Hyderabad or else in Bangalore. So from that place, how I am migrating my application to the another server which is located in the distinct location. So within no time, I am able to transfer it, right? So that is the
Right.
main motto of showing you all these things. Okay.
So that is it free to use that Docker
Docker
hub?
Hub, there are two ways to use the Docker Hub. Either you can use it in the free, that is public registry, which is applicable, which is available to each and everyone. If you want to download this image, simply you can run this command. What is that? Docker pull Chaitanya Manikmar / Java 17. You can also download this image. Why?
Okay.
Because it is public repository. So there is one more availability is that is private repositories. Those are paid versions.
Okay.
Okay. So that is how you can access. Now, whatever the images that I am pushing into my Docker Hub, that is totally the public repos. Everyone can access those images.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine, then that's about today's session. In tomorrow's session, we will be going in deep into the Dockerization concept, what exactly is a container, and then we will be learning about how to install the Docker on Ubuntu server. Okay, previously I showed you how to install the Docker on the Windows server. Today in this tomorrow session, I will be showing you how to install the Docker on the Ubuntu server. So one more thing I want to tell you that Saturday and Sunday you will have the class. There are no holidays for you guys. Every day will be there. Every day you will have the class itself. Okay. So that's all from my end. We'll meet in the next session and discuss more and more topics on the Docker. So have a nice day. We'll meet in the next session. Bye guys. So, and one more thing I want to tell you, again, I forgot to intimate you about this. So the class timings will be from 7 to 8. And one more thing is that, yeah, you can, Neeraj, you can just ask the DurgaSoft. They will provide you the in details, or else you can go with the YouTube also. Okay, the course fee is just 1500 rupees where you can join. And one more thing is that, uh, so tomorrow's session will be the last session and you don't have any further demos. Okay.
Okay. So Chaitanya, just want to know, like apart from Docker, what else
Mm.
you teach?
I will teach entire DevOps, Kubernetes. I will go with the AWS, Azure. So I will train
Okay.
on each and every perspective. But
Okay.
as per the DurgaSoft, I will be going with the Docker and Kubernetes, and I will teach AWS. Not
Okay.
teaching, I will train on that. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
fine. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys, and we'll meet in the next session. Don't forget, don't give any misleading information. Like, please provide your genuine phone number. If at all, if you are interested, just say interested. If you are not interested, say that I'm not interested. That is also fine. So provide the genuine information so that it will be helpful for us and as well as for the team also. The team cannot afford lot of time for calling you only. So please approach the team if at all if you are interested to join the sessions, and it will be very helpful for you. If you join the sessions, you will easily understand the Kubernetes also. Okay. So have a nice day and bye guys.